When we hear about ancient Chinese paths to immortality, we almost always picture something highly disciplined, solitary, and frankly, a bit dry. But today's explainer completely flips that narrative on its head. We're going to dive into some of the most bizarre, fascinating, and uniquely cultural stories of ascending in ancient Chinese folklore. And trust me, these aren't your standard tales of sitting quietly in a cave for decades. We're talking about stories packed with accidental comedy, true crime-style mysteries, and fiercely romantic departures. See, pop culture usually paints ancient cultivation as this grueling process of isolating yourself deep in the mountains, doing endless breathing exercises, and practically eating dirt just to survive. But the reality we find in ancient texts, it is so much more vibrant. We're talking hardcore magic tricks, downright hilarious accidents, and incredibly romantic exits from the mortal world. Some of these anecdotes are so hardcore they'll make you question reality, while others are so down to earth you literally can't help but laugh out loud. So let's break down 3 specific methods of ascension today that perfectly capture this wild reality. All right, let's look at method 1, the accidental carry by Liu An, a Han Dynasty royal and, actually, the inventor of tofu. So here's what happened with Liu An. He successfully refines this highly sought-after magical elixir. He eats it, and boom, he achieves immortality and ascends right there on the spot. Amazing, right? But here is where the story gets incredibly grounded and just funny. Because he didn't clean up after himself. He just left the leftover elixir scraps and dregs sitting right out there in his courtyard. Naturally, the household pets, the dogs and the chickens, they wander over, give it a lick, have a quick snack, and suddenly a massive gust of wind sweeps through the yard. An entire flock of poultry and barking dogs are flying up into the clouds right behind him. I mean, just imagine the ridiculous scene at the pearly gates of heaven when Liu An arrived. The immoral beings are standing there, ethereal music is playing, and suddenly they just hear barking and clucking. Liu An basically got his pets guaranteed state jobs in heaven without even trying. And this brilliantly illustrates the origin of a famous Chinese idiom that is still widely used today. When one attains the Tao, the dog and chicken ascend. Nowadays, it's used to describe a situation where, when one person gets promoted or finds massive success, all their friends, family, and followers suddenly get pulled up to the top right alongside them. It's absolutely fascinating how such a bizarre, funny story anchors itself as a real cultural artifact, showing just how deeply these myths penetrated everyday language. Liu An is for sure the ultimate pioneer of bringing the whole squad to the immortal realm. Now, if daytime flying with a flock of chickens is a little too flashy for you, let's move to method 2. This is known as corpse liberation, or the mysterious golden cicada shedding its shell method, where a cultivator leaves behind a fake physical form to achieve immortality. Instead of a loud public ascension, this one feels way less like a religious text and more like stepping into a suspenseful, historical, true crime mystery. It basically plays out like the ultimate magic trick or an elaborate heist. Step 1. The immortal fakes their death. Their family cries, they mourn them, and they bury the body. But then, the rumor mill starts turning. Step 2. Years later, someone spots them hundreds of miles away on a completely different mountain, looking perfectly healthy and just casually drinking tea. This leads to step 3, where people simply refuse to believe it, so the authorities actually go and dig up the grave to check. And then, step 4, the grand reveal. They open the coffin and there is no body. Inside, there is only a single grass shoe, maybe a bamboo stick, or just a piece of clothing. Legends like Zhu Qi from the Three Kingdoms era or the mythical Zhang Sanfeng, they treated ascension like a grand illusion. The corpse was literally just a prop left behind on the stage, while their true selves roamed completely free across the world. Finally, we arrive at method 3, the poetic departure of the wine-sword immortal Li Bai. So, beyond comedic accidents and grand illusions, some ascensions tap into something deeply emotional. Li Bai is one of China's most famous and beloved poets. Historically speaking, his actual death was documented as quite tragic and lonely. But the cultural reverence for this man was so strong that the people simply refused to accept a mundane, depressing end for such an absolute genius. So folklore completely rewrote his final moments into something fiercely romantic, saying he actually rode a giant whale to the moon. The incredible myth says that Li Bai was out on a river in Dongtu, drinking wine. In a state of beautiful intoxication, he saw the brilliant reflection of the moon on the water's surface and reached out to catch it. As he fell into the river, the mortal world didn't just claim him. Instead, a sudden storm of wind and thunder erupted over the water.
The river split open and giant whales burst from the depths. As heavenly music echoed across the night sky, a white-clad Libai sat on the back of a giant whale, laughing uproariously as he flew directly up to the moon palace. The cultural takeaway here is profound. The people literally couldn't bear to let a genius of his caliber fall into the ordinary. Even in death, he had to ride a whale into the sky. That pure, unbound imagination is a core part of the culture's immortal spirit.
So, bringing it all back down to earth, why do these specific stories matter? Well, because in these traditions, ancient gods and immortals weren't these cold, distant, or emotionless figures just looking down at humanity. They were relatable. They were local heroes or quirky, enlightened hermits who loved a good joke or a great cup of wine. These wildly entertaining stories, from flying dogs to empty coffins to riding whales, they actually reflect a beautiful human truth. They represent a deep cultural yearning for ultimate freedom. It wasn't just about living forever, it was a profound obsession with living a beautiful, unbound life, totally free from the heavy restrictions of the mundane world. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a fun little thought experiment. We've seen how Liu An managed to get his chickens and dogs into heaven simply by proximity. It kind of shows that even in the pursuit of ultimate cosmic enlightenment, we still want our favorite companions right by our side. So, if you suddenly found yourself with an elixir of immortality and a sudden gust of wind was about to carry you up to the clouds, who or what would you take with you to crash the gates of heaven? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep seeking out the fascinating stories hidden in our history.